The relentlessly inventive artist, Katherine Stanek, makes amazing sculptures out of concrete. In the Stanek Gallery's Bridges exhibition of South Jersey artists, Katherine talked about a new, more direct technique that she has been trying.
The most recent piece is called Laurel. The idea of when you achieve something, that being a crowning event, how do you get beyond it? How do you go further? You've hit this pinnacle, then what?
For Katherine, the then what involved coming up with a whole new way of working. She would treat concrete like clay. The traditional way a bronze figure sculpture is made is through clay modeling.
I'm really enjoying modeling directly over the armature. You went to the academy, you built an armature with armature wire and pipes. Think of it the same way. I start off with rebar and I take wrapping wire that you use to tie rebar together, tie wire, and I do the same thing I would do as if I was working in clay. The only difference is instead of packing clay on and then doing a mold and then casting from the mold and then working it after it comes out of the mold, I've developed a process where I just take the concrete material and I apply it directly to the steel armature and just continue to build it out. Getting away from the molds, getting away from the pre-designed process and just letting it happen. And I'm not even really concerned about my armature being precise. I like that I kind of follow where the material takes me. The cement mixture has a good hour working time for me to model with it. Then it starts to get into what's called the green stage, which it's a little more crumbly. You have to be careful. I have to let it go. After about 2, maybe 3 hours, I can come back to it and take a little plastic knife and carve it. So I can carve my forms with the knife. And then after that stage, it gets a little bit harder and I can take a chisel and I can carve it that way. And the next morning, I could still chisel it. And after about 4 days, I'm usually using a power tool if I have to make further edits to that.
How long does it take for concrete to dry?
Concrete does not dry, concrete hydrates. It's a chemical process, it's not a drying process.
How long does it take for concrete to hydrate?
It never stops. Concrete continues to get harder through infinity. It's just the majority of the hydration process happens at the front end within the first few days, but it then slows down how quickly it hydrates, but then it continues forever.
Katherine told me that before she begins working with the cement, she does studies in clay from live models. The clay studies then become a reference once she begins modeling the cement, which eventually turns into concrete. She told me a bit about the pose for Laurel.
When I asked the model to do this pose, I had her leaning against the wall because she would fall over if she held on to it. So it is intended to feel precarious. The position of the arms and the posture crossed at the wrist, that's a very defensive position, but it's not in an aggressive way. The hands are facing towards you, so the composition is actually all very intentional. Everything speaks to what it is I'm trying to say in the piece.
Amazing.
Thank you.